Okay, good evening everyone. Welcome to the Scrutiny and Improvement Committee meeting. Item 1 on the agenda is to have minutes of our July meeting. Does anyone have any alterations or objections to the minutes presented? Apologies for absence. Councillor Kenlechi is away and has sent his apologies to me. Did so quite some time ago. Declarations. He has got an injury. Declarations
Sorry.
Declarations of members' interests. Anybody got any disclosable interests?
It's really nice.
Okay. So I'd like to welcome Councillor Hills, who's here to give us an update on the community culture and leisure portfolio and the current ongoings that he's overseeing. So take it away.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Thanks for inviting me. Basically, before talking about current projects, you all probably saw the recent email I sent to all elected emails regarding the successful Daventry triathlon that was held on the 8th of September, which I feel it's worth noting because it wasn't that long ago. Also, I'm basically going to report on 7 projects, and there are others and other things that I'm involved in, but quite frankly, if I was to go through those as well, you'd be here all night. You said keep it brief, and I'll keep it as brief as I possibly can, so I'm looking at the major things that I've got.
That's great.
Okay. First of all, the Country Parking Improvement Programme. This is a £750,000 improvement project. The new area was completed in April 2019. It included lots of different activities, including the castle with a themed fort, new swings, and new items for the toddlers. And this has been extremely well received by the public. I do go down there now and again and talk to the mums and the children, and it's nice to see them there, and when the weather's good, having picnics in that area as well. The footpaths, jetties, signage, etc. will be completed during the winter. And as regards the reservoir cap and toilet refurbishment, the invitation to tender were issued on the 15th of September, and that's moving ahead. And it's worth noting that the country park received its 20th Green Flag Award in July this year. So we've done very well, very proud of that as well. The Daventry Sports Awards, this year will be the 17th year, and nominations close on Sunday the 29th of September, with the awards panel sitting on the 30th of September, and the actual awards ceremony taking place on Thursday the 24th of October, and that's in the Saxon Suite at the Leisure Centre. It starts at 6:30 p.m. with fish and chip supper, which has proved to be tremendously popular, and that goes very well. There are 11 awards, and just one or two of them. There's the Community Club of the Year, Team of the Year, Volunteer of the Year, Disabled Sportsperson, and Lifetime Contribution to Sport. So that's some of them. It's designed to encourage people to get involved in sport. It covers throughout the district. It's now, as I say, in the 17th year, and it's gone from strength to strength. We led the way on that. 2 years later, N Sport introduced theirs, and the year after that, the others got involved, so I was very pleased on that. The local lottery, the tickets cost £1, of which 40p goes to one of over 70 odd groups, charities or sports clubs that signed up so far. An additional 10p from every ticket goes into the community pot, which the council distributes to other good causes. Of the remaining 50p, 30p goes into the prize fund, 17p to the operators Gatherwell, and 3p is VAT. The funds raised to date are £33,721 to local good causes. I think that's gone very, very well since we started that.
So when was the first draw?
Oh, that was probably about 3 years ago. The community pot actually totals £6,668, of which £3,249 has already been given to other local causes. So not only do we get money from that 40p, but also from the community pot, which helps us with grants, etc. So it's proved to be very worthwhile. Daventry North Leisure Centre East. This is a bit of a way in a joint operation because whilst I'm heavily involved also, part of it, when you look at the building side, comes under the David Jane portfolio, but obviously I've been very much involved in this. The project has been a priority item for quite a while now, and I'm very pleased to see it moving forward. The price and heads of terms have been agreed by Moulton College, and the council has appointed external solicitors. We are currently waiting for the first draft sale contract to arrive from the college solicitors. Basically the intention is that the contract will commit the council to purchase, subject only to receiving planning permission for the change of use. It's a public leisure centre. And the car park extension also. This means that the business plan due to come to strategy in October, November will only relate to the planned works and to the arrangements for operation. The topographic survey has been carried out and the building consultants for the transport assessment have actually now been appointed. It is aimed to apply for planning permission in October, November, with this hopefully being granted for January, February. Once planning permission is received, the sale would complete. The intention is that the operation will continue while the conversion took place, with the swimming pool in particular being able to continue. Looking to a late summer completion in 2020. SLM, or otherwise everyone active, is still very interested in taking up the operation.
So Alan, are we in touch with anyone else other than everyone active, or are we somehow constricted
we will be going out to others,
yeah.
But obviously as everyone active is there and running our leisure centre, they've got first and said we express an interest, but yes, you won't just go for the one.
Okay.
Reach for Health, again, another joint operation. Following the second tender process for the car park and drainage works, an acceptable tender is now in place for both these and the main building works. These are from the same company. Notification letters have been sent out to all tenderers, informing them of the intention to appoint contractors. The contract documents are being finalised, ready for implementation, and the legal agreement with Daventry and District Sports Trust and Reach for Health are also very close to completion. In fact, they may now be signed off. The aim is to enter all four agreements, that's 2 construction agreements and 2 land agreements at the same time and within budgets, and we are fairly close to it. Under the current programme, it sees the opening roughly around about summer 2020. Daventry Sports Park, the refurbishment is now complete, and with myself and the Council Chairman Dave Smith performed the opening ceremony. It's got a first-class AstroTurf pitches and refurbished toilet and changing facilities in place. The project was made possible due to £696,489 from the Premier League and the FA Facilities Fund, and also £200,000 from the District Council. I am now working with N Sport and clubs regarding further usage, so that's ongoing, but the place is open.
I seem to recall when we were debating this in council, Catherine Lomax raised some concerns about it being primarily a football venue, unless I've got another venue confused.
There was some concerns, and just to give you the background on this, going back prior to that, we did apply for a globe to be fitted over the tennis courts in the car park behind the police station. Yeah, in there. this was the idea that we could use it for other sports as well. It would have a cover, and we could use it from the morning till about 8-9 o'clock at night. Unfortunately, we got a grant from the FA on that, promised, but when it went to planning, it got turned down. That's democracy. I wasn't happy about it, but that was one of those things. That meant that basically we then had to go right at the back of the queue again for any grants. Or
Turned
then
down
from
at
the,
planning.
sorry,
Turned down at planning.
turned down at planning, our planning.
It was on the, sorry, it was, that's tennis courts on the recreation ground,
How long ago is this?
3 or 4 years.
Well, I must have missed it because I don't recall it at all.
You weren't on planning then.
I was.
In-
I just have been on planning.
Might
Which so you got that, you had a day off.
Could well have been.
But it then made it very difficult regarding other grants. Now, we did apply for grants to the FA and the FA Foundation and things like that. We also got involved with the National Hockey Association. There was no money coming whatsoever from the National Hockey Association. We had a situation whereby if we didn't use it for football and other things, that because of our previous turning down a grant, then we certainly would not have got the money to do this.
Yeah, I think if I recall correctly, Councillor Lomax's objection was that one particular surface wasn't suitable for hockey.
Yes. Yeah, and that was it. But we've been talking to the hockey club. They now use part of the school and the other areas. But yes, we could not get the money otherwise. So it was a fait accompli in a way.
Councillor Muslim.
Yeah, partly it's been covered really. I was going to ask about whether there was any movement on the hockey, because I think we did promise as a council that we would be actively looking at trying to do something for hockey players in the locale. So it would be good if that was progressed. It's 4G pitch which hockey.
Yeah, I mean the AstroTurf pitch is brilliant. I was up at the Bowls Club at an event that they were putting on just the other day, and to see all the AstroTurf pitches there with young people using them and playing on them. Because my opinion is that we as a council, we're entrusted to encourage physical activity. We're encouraged to tackle obesity, and all councils have that. And if we can get in with our youngsters, whilst we don't forget the adults, well, if we can get our youngsters interested in sport and taking part in sport and things like that, that's a good start.
So just to be clear, we are looking at, because I think there was talk about bowls on the pitch, wasn't on the...
Yes.
And there was also talk about rugby use as well.
Yeah.
At the time. So is that being progressed in action?
Yeah, there's a guy called Mark Courtney who's doing a lot of work with the bowls. It was the event that Chris Miller and I attended, and they were looking at the AstroTurf, and they had a couple of national champions and Olympic champion bowlers there, and they were looking at that turf to see whether that there might be some form of bowls that can be used on it as well, although it wouldn't be hockey.
No.
Yeah. I particularly want to, in my portfolio role, and going back to the sports awards, is that basically to encourage lesser known sports. I mean, cricket, football, all those, they're the big major sports. But we've had winners from Pittsford Sailing Club, the Bowls Club itself, the Table Tennis Club. If we can encourage those lesser known sports and get youngsters taking part in those as well, I think it would be beneficial. Okay.
Absolutely, thank you. No, sorry, Councillor Muslim.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say a couple of things. First thing is, it's like, triathlon is brilliant. I think it's great for the town. I just want to sort of say that out loud. I think it's a brilliant thing. I actually didn't make it down this year. I had a little incident on my bike on the way to it, but that's another story. What I have to say, and what I am most pleased about this year is the country park. You know that I was a little bit upset with you 2 or 3 years ago about the state of it.
Yeah.
And I use it quite a lot, and it is chalk and cheese now, so I'd just like to say congratulations to everyone that is down there, the people that actually work down there, because its usability is is just so much better than it was. I mean, opening up the paddocks to the sheep, yes, it stopped a little bit of dog walking, but it's done wonders for those paddocks. The pathways have all been cut, making it far more usable for everybody. And the new benches and everything is just a far more pleasant place to be. And I have to say, for me this year, that green flag is fully deserved. Absolutely fully deserved.
Thanks for that. What I would say is that it's down to a lot of people. You've got the Friends of the Country Park,
yeah, and then we've got,
and you've got the Rangers, you've got the officers of the council, and I put my 2 pence in as well. And I'm very pleased with it because, you know, to get 20 Green Flag Awards, and they do extend it every year. It becomes harder and harder each year. So you've got to keep up to the mark on it. And I went to the awards this year at the Guildhall, and when you see some of these big areas like Manchester and that, and what they've got with their country parks and that, and there we are with our one country park, 20 years on the trot. I coined the phrase years ago. I said it was the jewel in the crown, and that stuck, and I really believe it is. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to reiterate some of the things that Leslie said already, and that is we all really do appreciate Alan, the work that you put into these projects. We all know that you put your soul into it, and an awful lot of time. And I'd just like to record mine and everybody else's thanks for that.
Yeah, that's very well appreciated. I go back over 40 years when I was connected with youth sport and helping charities and things like that. So I've always been involved in that sort of work. So it's something very dear to my heart. And I think the one thing that I find is that I thoroughly enjoy what I do. And my only concern now is with Unitary. I just want to try and make sure that a lot of the good things we've done, if I can push it, that we carry on doing them, or they're carried on in some way, then I think that will be, I should be very pleased, let's put it that way. And just want to finish up with the Good Neighbour scheme. We continue to work in partnership with ACRE. Current schemes funded by the council are Moulton, Crick, Welton and Byfield, and further schemes are pending in Kilsby, Woodford Holes, Long Buckby, Boughton, Welford and Creaton. We still have funding available for up to £1,000 for groups to set up a scheme in their area, along with a toolkit based on national good practice. The annual Good Neighbour event will be held on Wednesday the 18th of March 2020 at Moulton Community Centre from 10 AM to 2 PM. That's basically it. I've got another list of things that I'm still doing that aren't necessary projects, but I'm not going to bore you with those. I've just made a list of them. What I've done, it may help with the minutes, I've made a copy that I thought it might help you with the minutes. Rules is life.
Thank you.
That's it, I think.
Thank you very much. Has anyone got any further questions? Thank you very much for coming
That's
along.
all right. I shall I'll make the move in a while.
Oh, sorry,
I was just saying,
not quite
Sorry,
yet.
Alan, I haven't got that and that, and I forgot. On the new sports facility over at Moulton, you said about overactive being given an opportunity to run it.
yeah,
Is that correct? I mean, without being, I mean, at times in the past over here, we've had almost like a revolving door of people running the leisure centre, which for a time for me was a little bit of a disaster. I mean, I know there's always a tender process and value for money, but can we be assured that it won't just be on the cheapest end of things that we look at? We look at overall service and capabilities instead of just the notional tender input, it's because it's really, really important for any leisure centre to run effectively, and it is run effectively because otherwise, I mean, we saw massive dips over here at times in the past when and the incumbents just were not really capable of running the legislature.
I'm fully aware of that because, as I say, like since, I mean, I've held this portfolio now since 2002, first year I was elected, and part of my job is liaison with the leisure centre. That is very, I have probably a regular meeting probably once every month or to 6 weeks over there. At the moment, I say we're very much engaged in sports awards. That's surprising because it's surprising the amount of organisation that goes into the awards evening. And you know, the thing that I would like to see is more support from some of the councillors at times, because it really is and shows the face of Daventry and the district that we tell them what we've got in there. But yes, I'm very aware of that. I think the officers are as well. We went through a period when we in my time, I think we lost 2 or 3 people who were running the leisure centre because it just didn't work out. They ran into trouble. Everyone active, people were sceptical. Now, I'm not going to say we've got utopia, but the difference that they made over there is tremendous. So, as it looks, I wouldn't object if they wanted to take over the other new leisure centre, but we've got to go through the right process and make sure that everything's open and above board and transparent. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, Mark, and as far as I'm concerned, what we want is value for money and something that's going to help our public, and that's going to be part of the legacy that we leave when we become a unitary. I'm actually talking to Jamie Brightwell regarding our sports awards, because I don't know whether there'll be unitary sports awards. In sport, not sure what's going to happen. And because he said he might like to try and carry it on in some way, and I'm talking to him to see whether there's a way that perhaps there can be an Everyone Active Sports Awards or something like that, so we keep it going. But that's early days yet, but there's a long way to go on the unitary as well. So, yeah, I was just saying to the lady here that I went out 8:30 this morning, went to a meeting, then I went directly to Northampton to put my car for service and MOT, and then I came straight here. So I'll stay for another few minutes or so, and then I'll probably wander off, because we're a bit like ships that pass in the night, my wife and I. Okay.
Thank you very
Has
much.
anybody else got anything else? No? Well, thanks for the kind words, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, next up, Tony's going to take us through the corporate strategic plan performance.
I am Chairman, yes. I hope you will be prepared to let me struggle through this, and Julie, who normally does it, is much more up to speed with some of these issues. We've got the corporate plan there. There is one, we're looking at the first quarter outturn for the current year. So we're now very near the end of the second quarter, and some of these will have moved on. But essentially the position statement is at the end of the first quarter. We've one red indicator, the others are either green or amber. So I don't know how you want to do this. Do you want to?
Just the red numbers.
Okay. So we'll spare me as I scroll through. First amber is, in fact, yeah, the red. So it's B3.2, which is secure third secondary school in Daventry, and what we are reporting now is that that's not looking likely. The comment there actually says that, if I just read that, because I suspect you can't all, or maybe you can read it, I don't know. Education and Skills Funding Agency have not yet confirmed whether this is proceeding, and acquiring update information on a timescale for decision is challenging. Information has been provided to the ESFA and Locate regarding the development sites. So we are in the hands of government on this, and as the comment says, we're waiting to hear from them.
Yeah, Councillor Wilson.
Is there any issue on the suit not actually progressing at the moment? Is that part of the
That wouldn't be helping the situation, but in fact we are waiting for government to come forward to see if they're prepared to put funds into it. I think if they came back and said yes we are, and then the SU wasn't moving forward, that might be an issue. But that isn't a critical issue at the moment. It's actually government funding that's holding the project up. Okay, so we can move on then. These green. So we've got a number there on E3.1, number of action days facilitated to enhance our environment, and it's an annual target. We're saying there's been no specific action days for the first quarter, but planning is underway for the first action day on the 7th of August. So that probably has happened by now. I'm not sure of the detail there. And further events are planned for later in the year. So we still believe we're going to get there. We're just behind target in the first quarter.
Do you know if we do have 6 events in the pipeline? That's the target for year end.
Target there is, sorry if I can just scroll across here. 6. Based on the information there, then Amber is saying we're behind target, but we expect to get there. So I can only say that yes, we're planning to achieve 6.
I've got chip in, Chair.
Yes, certainly.
So, the day on the Southport was all on my team. Emergency Services Fund Day. There was over 2,000 people in one day, which was fantastic. We've got another day planned for the Grange, which the planning meeting was yesterday, and so that's just 2 from ours. And then this includes the actions. Most of the actions on this are from the environmental health team. So in terms of community clearance and that sort of thing. And with the changes in personnel, I think some of the things that would normally been scheduled during the year have not been scheduled. Yeah. But now they've got a full team again, particularly the fly tips officer. I think we'll be seeing that one. Probably getting back towards target, if not spot on.
Fantastic. Thank you.
If I might, I'd just like to make a comment. Kevin raised about the fun day. That was an excellent day. It's part of my ward anyway, part of Hill Ward. I spent about 3 hours down there. I had some really good comments from some people who are on there who are a bit sceptical to say the least. And I had some really good comments, so it was very, 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 very encouraging.
Excellent. It was good to hear. Good to hear. Lots of positive feedback.
Okay. And I think the actual profile of the target there reflects what Kevin's saying, that it's expected that activity will pick up in the second half of the year. Okay, let's move on again. And the next number there is on H3.3, preparation of the West Northamptonshire Strategic Plan, and the target there is to be at stage 3, which is initial consultation, and we're actually at stage 2 at the moment, which is project brief and project initiation and appointment of consultants. The comment is the issues paper agreed by strategy group on the 4th of July, now to be considered by SNC and MDC, and then consultation to start early in August.
I was going to say that it is out for consultation.
Yes.
I've seen the consultation documents.
So that will be green when we next see this plan.
Good.
Okay. It's the trouble with this being a little bit...
There's actually a training session, there's a briefing session down here as well.
We're then on to C1.1, percentage of council tax collected, and the percentage of total amount due that is collected. We are slightly behind target on the first quarter. If you can't see the numbers there, target is 30.2%, we're at 29.88%. And the comment there says compared to the previous year, the increase of 27% on the number of reminders, 29% on the number of final notices, and 60-something% increase on the number of summons issued in the first quarter. I think that's to demonstrate that we are taking action to encourage people to make their payments.
So, yeah, obviously that's an increase in correspondence. Would we be able to get clarification on what the default numbers are like compared to last year? I suppose we can yeah, would that be possible? The number of households behind in payments.
Yes, we could. Yes, I'll have to get that information and circulate it separately.
Those increases are fairly dramatic on some counts, and it would be interesting to know if that's a sign of increasing economic hardship or simply, improved efficiencies within our collections team.
Well, I think in terms of the actions we're taking, that we are more active in chasing the council payments due, but we've done some comparative work with our other authorities, and there is a slight downward trend on collection rates, which suggests the economic situation is not helping.
Yeah, I mean, you just sort of alluded to it with the percentages. I mean, 68% of nothing is nothing as well. I think it'd be more useful to understand
The raw numbers.
Yeah, the actual real numbers on those to make a valid judgment, because it could be really, really serious or relatively minor.
Good point, Councillor Roberts.
Forgive me, did I just hear you say the target was 30% and you achieved 29.88%?
Yes, at this point in the year, so this is on the first quarter of the year.
29.88% and target 30?
Yes.
So that's on target really, isn't it?
Well, it's within 5%, hence it's shows up. Well, our amber rate is within 5% or deemed to get there. So yeah, it's very slightly under target, but that said, we are taking action to try and encourage payment when it's due. And a similar situation on business rates, actually, which is the next one. So we've targeted 30.2% and actual collection rate in the first quarter of 29.34%. So again, very close to the target. And the text then talks about the numbers of reminders in percentage terms again, so I can get some absolute numbers on that, so I'll circulate those if the committee desire. Okay. Then C1.3, income received from commercial tenants, commercial rents, and we are slightly behind on that. A target of 648,000 for the first quarter, and we're at 642,000. So again, very, very close. Not really much more to offer on that. Yes. The next one, council-owned commercial floor space that is occupied, and our target is 95%, and we're actually at 91%, which is a bit of a difference, a bigger difference really. But the issue there is really on one tenant who had a large unit, who has, in fact, had 6 units on High March, and that tenant has moved elsewhere. The units need some work. There's a dilapidations claim being dealt with before they're in a lettable condition again. And on C2.3, not sure why this has shrunk.
Challenges our reading skills.
It's challenging my computer skills as well. So, a percentage of internal health and safety audit recommendations are actioned in a timely manner, and we're close to the target there. Target at 96%, and we're actually at 92%. And you can see from the previous year where we were sort of a larger gap behind, and I think this has had some discussion here previously, but we are getting closer to that target. No, not one page is in a smaller font than everything else. But C 3.1, develop and sustain workplace wellbeing through achievement and maintenance of the Northamptonshire Workplace Health and Safety Wellbeing Assessment Tool, and the target there is to be at level 1, which is emerging level. We haven't actually achieved that at this stage. And the comment there, the County Chief Executives Group have approved the pilot of the draft Northamptonshire Workplace Health and Wellbeing Assessment Tool for all Northampton local authorities. Notwithstanding that workplace wellbeing has continued to be a key priority for the Council since achieving the Workplace Charter in 2017, work has already begun to map out any gaps in evidence and or necessary actions for the Council to secure compliance. So we're en route to achieving that, but haven't got there yet. And that's this one is the final indicator, which is corporate plan achieved, so percentage within 5% target or better, and our target is 80%, and we're actually at 97%. So that's the overall health measure for the plan.
Any further questions? Thank you very much. We now have the Community Safety Partnership annual report.
Thank you, Chair. A number of you may have seen this, sort of may have seen this, a lot of this before. This is more of an update report. I'm always conscious when writing this that I've looked back at the previous years and I've already said this. So the bits which are getting smaller and smaller as I receive, but the background is obviously important, especially when we're looking at the fact that we've got a joint partnership currently with South Northants. We've previously had a joint unit and we've now got a joint working relationship. So I wanted to talk about the current situation particularly, rather than going through this line by line obviously, but just an update on the relationship with South Northants. It was a bit of a rocky relationship for a while they were very much paired up with Cherwell District, but since they got divorced, relationships have settled back down again. The issues have been, a concern for us have been that the staffing levels have been low, and they've had basically just a community safety officer, no community safety manager, and no administrative support, so no dedicated administrative support. And that's meant that some of the things like the board meeting that Councillor Hills attends have been not as well organised as we would like. We addressed that at the board meeting last week. We tabled that with our chair, who's South Northants head of service, and they said they were recruiting to that. It was part of the process of divorce from Cherwell, and there will be bodies in place, so we're actually seeing improvement on that side of things. The relationships work very, very well with South Northants now. There's always an element of personality, of course, in partnership work. But we have a very good split between, as alluded to in the report, between the areas that we run here previously and that they run South Northants. Anything that we run, for instance, the Hate and Social Interaction Group or the Roads Jack, covers all the South Northants as well as all the countries. And the ones that they run, the Domestic Abuse Action Group, ditto. So it doesn't matter who's running it, it's covering both districts. That, of course, will raise the question, a lot of people have already spoken about legacy and what might happen moving towards unitary. The board discussed this issue about whether we might look to merge with Northampton prior to unitary, and rejected that. The reason it's particularly on the table is because all our colleagues in what will be the north have already merged the CSPs. So the 4 CSPs in what will be the north have become one CSP. We don't think there's any benefit in doing that, running to meet that. When it happens, it'll happen when we become a unitary authority. Obviously the CSP would have to be across both districts. What we've discussed at officer level with my colleagues in Northampton Borough and with colleagues in Northampton Police is that the very marked differences between the issues in Northampton and the issues here in Daventry and South Northants would mean that you couldn't have one size fitting all. Trying to put an operating model in that would have those action groups that we currently have trying to operate across the entire patch would be doomed to failure. So there is a consensus at present that we would continue to operate look at a model where we have separate action groups and separate days of action and responses in the rural part and the urban part of the new unitary. I can't keep calling it what used to be Daventry District Council and what used to be South of Thames, because what would that actually mean in terms of where the border was drawn? But we'll worry about the language later. Now, the interesting thing is that in part of the move to unitary, the senior responsible officers have now been appointed, and Ian Vincent is going to be in charge of regulatory services and environmental health, which of course in regulatory services includes keeping safe partnerships. He was basically tasked at the Community Safety Board, which goes to the entire county. The question came up from the Police and Crime Commissioner's office about what might happen and how community safety might work moving into the unitary model. Ian's authority was asserted, shall we say, not by Ian, but by the chair of the meeting, to say that yes, thanks very much, Police and Crime Commissioner, but we've got the script, and you're welcome to come along to our party when we throw it. Wasn't quite that. Anyway, Ian's already had a word with the programme manager and with the assistant director at NCC, who's been in charge of their community safety. They've spoken to the network of community safety managers. We meet on a monthly basis anyway, and we're basically going to pull this into our work stream on a monthly basis. So we already have Chief Superintendent Stamper, who's obviously quite high up in Northampton Police, who's a regular attendee. So getting those bodies into that group where the people who actually do the doing and know what it's going to look like. That's an important part. Moving through the report, I made a few other notes on one of the things to point out. I've said that what we previously had a rural tasking group has now expanded to cover the entire county. And from the performance reports, you'll be aware that we've been running barn events to engage with rural businesses, farmers. And then of course we've now had all the issues with sheep. Very, very high profile, very distressing. I said the very interesting thing about this is that there's an awful lot of stuff happening, an awful lot of profile, and the police and community safety partners are not getting it in the neck from the rural community. The work we did on putting all this together and basically making it plain that we were interested in rural crime, we were trying to do things about rural crime, we wanted to engage with partners. NFU, Acre, Basque, who I'd never even heard of. But all those people around the table on a regular basis. And then we're doing the outreach in the barn events. And so when something like this happened, the networks were there, people felt they were being listened to. And yes, while there's a lot of distress, there's not a lot of finger pointing there, which I think is actually a very positive thing, that we've built those relationships and built the trust. And when the messages needed to go out, there were the conduits to get those messages out. So if there were suspicious vehicles being reported, those lines of reporting were open, and when police had identified a couple of vehicles that they were interested in, farmers stopped them. And that was a very interesting thing that people were alerted. The police will only say as much as there are several interesting lines of inquiry which are developing. That could mean something, it could mean nothing. That's not me saying I know something and I'm not telling you. I don't know what, but you will have seen the reports from the joint raids into Coventry. There was another couple of lines of inquiry which were into restaurants in Birmingham. There's a lot of things that people are looking at. And it's going to be probably at the end user rather than catching people in the field that it's most likely to actually get results. But I think the important thing is that we haven't been absolutely excoriated on this.
Did you have a question, Councillor Robinson?
Well, not so much a question as a comment. As someone who represents one of the rural areas that was affected by the sheep butchering, shall we call it. I have a lot of sympathy with the local farmers who were affected by it, but they do understand that they live in a very quiet and rural area where crime cannot be policed in a way that you might hope, and they do also realise that it's up to them to secure their properties better, and I think that's the important thing. We ought to be spending more time encouraging them to secure their properties rather than trying to solve the crime that's caused by their lack of security. And let's face it, farmers haven't really been very clever when it comes to securing their properties. Most gates are left open. Quite a few aren't these days, but that's where we're going. We're letting them down. We ought to be telling them how to secure their property rather than trying to catch the criminals.
Prevention rather than cure.
Yes, indeed.
Finally, around the point, I went to the Police and Crime Commissioner's briefing meeting a couple of weeks ago. I hadn't been to one before. It was actually very interesting. But I think the consensus there was really, in the discussion in the room, was the police can do what the police can do, but it is about partnership and community working, and your sort of work involved in that, in spreading the word, and it's about every member of the community doing their bit, and it's it's about the event days that you do and everything else, be it town, country, or wherever it is, and it is all about us promoting that everyone has got to do their little bit, report the vehicles, report anything suspicious, be on the alert, and the Police and Crime Commissioner said, likewise, like if you think it's a little bit odd, we prefer you to phone it in. We may not phone you back, we may not get back to you, but it does go on the report. So it's like, and it just builds this intelligence picture, exactly the words, and it's great that this is ongoing, because it's just so important to actually join all of the people up in the community into the police. So, it is vital that we do all encourage that. So.
There is a programme now of through the rural group of all the events which are coming up to the rest of the year. And it was interesting as well that not everybody involved is completely au fait with country matters, and so there was one column on the agenda, on the calendar, was this is what's going on in the country at this time of year. So this will be when it's drilling. You won't get people to meetings then, but you might get people to meetings here. So it was that sort of awareness for some of the partners around the table. Others, of course, completely au fait. But getting the messages out to those events, whether it's the country fairs or actually somebody going for a couple of days to one of the farm suppliers and actually being there as a sort of here's some messages. But there was an open ear that the rural crime officers are telling them for the messages which are going out in terms of these are the security options. Things like putting GPS trackers inside the sheep pens, the sheep handling. So if that's stolen, which it often is, if you're going to do this, you need to nick it or something, you can then track it. Sort of a strangely high-tech solution to stick in a very simple ancient piece of equipment, but no one's going to expect it to be in there. Whereas the data tagging thing that people do on tractors and 4x4s and that sort of thing, they might be more wise to. And there is something about data tagging sheep as well.
Can be done, it just costs money, farmers don't like spending money. My view of it is that very simple things can be done, like putting a top hinge on upside down on a gate and all that sort of thing, making the hardware of locking a gate more secure. Some of these crimes were committed by people who lifted the gates off, stuck them against the fence, strapped the sheep to them and slaughtered them on the gate. It's pretty gruesome to think about, but it's pretty simple to do as well, and that's the sort of thing I had in mind. Assistance to simple things that they can do which don't cost money very much to
I think the NFU have been quite active in trying to educate.
I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, because they're insurance claims.
Yes, mutuals, yeah.
Insurance mutual, they'll be able to do that.
Looking at the data, one of the things that we always come back on the data reports is that our crime numbers are low. And this is one of the things that we always refer back to when we're talking to Northampton, that that old expression, when you're up to your neck in alligators, it's hard to remember you're supposed to be drowning in a swamp. Well, we've got baby alligators and you can usually see them coming, whereas Northampton is still basically flailing around with the oars and trying to keep the alligators out of the boat. So when we look at the numbers, interesting thing that I was discussing with a couple of colleagues this morning when I was going through some of the ward level data, that you can often look at one serious incident of one individual which is going to cause what comes up to us as a spike. So for instance, we noticed an increase in violence in one or two wards in South Northampton, and that turned out to be one individual in one ward. Interventions were ongoing, and this month, after running at 10 or 12 incidents a month, it's gone down to 0. And it's that sort of level now that we can see individual gangs targeting HGVs parked on the laybys on the A14. But we will see those numbers, talk to the police about them. They may not spot them because reports might have gone through the headquarters, it's an insurance claim, the truck's going through, they're not resident in the area. But then they go and have a quick look and say, well, we can see what the MO is. Someone's driving up the Naseby Road, parking off the field, going down the embankment, cutting the curtain sliders, grabbing the stuff, and then heading back up every day. Quick word with the highways agency, got them to cut down all the embankment stuff so the lorry drivers could see if anyone was coming through. And at the same time, the boffins at headquarters put some passive infrared sensors on the fence. And 2 days later there was a 999 call and a call from the PIR to the local cops phone, and they got them coming and going and two in custody. And then that was that Clipston's? That was Clipston's data running from 10 vehicle thefts a month down to 1. So we can actually sort of direct the resources towards that as well, on numbers that wouldn't show up on the radar for headquarters. And that's the sort of thing we don't want to lose as we move into the unitary. Those reports, I do an annual report which all councillors get. Used to be monthly, but we were finding there wasn't enough shift months, so we're doing them quarterly. And the next one will be out in September. The delays, there'll be a bit of a delay in the report. We'll get the crime data for September on the 1st of October. But then we don't get the Home Office data until about 16th or 17th of month, and that's 2 months behind. So I'll wait until the Home Office data comes down and then basically report the thanks for I always have to get feedback on these, because some people look at them. I get police students with me. I've got 2 in tomorrow and 2 in thereafter. And we'll look at this sort of stuff, and some of them look at it and say, that looks really interesting, others say, that's giving me a migraine. So always trying to get those reports so they're actually informative without being hugely wordy. So I'm always happy to get the feedback and say, I'm not entirely sure what you're trying to tell me, Ken. Please feel free to do that. And then whilst other councils will come back to me and say, well, can you drill down into that for me, because this is really interesting for my work. So I'm always happy to do that. There's also a wealth of data behind what I actually give. There's 160 crime types that could come down, so I'm squeezing into about 27 for a month each. So we group them into tiers. I think that's really most of what I want to say, unless there's any questions about what was put into the report. As Alan said, I could go further, I could go into a lot of detail. This is mostly about the Community Safety Partnership. I've alluded to the fact that we're working more closely with health colleagues now, doing a lot of work with Alan Burns, who's working with the Primary Care Network, which is being established in Daventry. The 2 GP surgeries working together, and basically looking at how they have a part to play in early intervention and safeguarding, the sort of things that they would spot, the sort of things they could put in place. They've been very enthusiastic, they've got it. And so that's basically been a missing part of the puzzle for the last 10 years. But they're really, really on board. I'm going to say that. Got to give a lot of credit for the ACES worker, the Adverse Childhood Experiences worker, who covers the area for Police and Crime Commissioner. She's been a great asset to the partnership since she was appointed. That Adverse Childhood Experiences is an interesting study that says that, I reread it today because I'm going to have to tell the students about it tomorrow, that those people who have 4 or more adverse childhood experiences, so homelessness, domestic violence in the house, drug addiction, alcoholism in the house, an incarcerated parent, that sort of thing. If you have 4 or more adverse childhood experiences, you are 10 times more likely to be a customer of the criminal justice system.
Customer, I like that.
When I say customer, because it could be perpetrator, it could be victim. So it's basically like pointing out to everybody how the worlds of health and the worlds of policing, the worlds of social work and youth work and those other dimensions is everybody's business, and that's basically what we've always been about. And if we can get upstream with things like the Fun Day and the Young Citizens Day, and stop people becoming anyone's customers and just being good citizens, then we don't have a mess to clear up, and that's always been where we want to be.
On that front, a lot of these cases, I know from my experience that county council, that often early intervention is absolutely crucial in these cases. Are you seeing any evidence that the struggles of the county council are affecting the young people of the Daventry district?
I think we've inoculated ourselves against a lot of the things that are happening everywhere, not just in Northamptonshire, but in terms of what we were hearing, in terms of reporting, in terms of increases in robbery and increases in knife crime. So far, so good. The relationships, I think because children and families are downstairs, yes, they're struggling, but I also sit on the MASH steering group, Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub steering group, and seeing that the recruitment that's happening there and less of churn of social workers and increasing the size of the team and stability, that's helping. But yes, the churn is, I don't have the uncertainty in terms of recruiting, it was very, very difficult. But here we've had more stability, and we've got a better, I think we've got a better relationship than most local authorities have with the children and family services, and you can keep nipping and have a chat. And there's both the locality coordinator as well, as somebody who was appointed, and you grab them as soon as they landed in the patch.
Talking about downstairs here.
Downstairs here.
Yeah.
And there's a locality coordinator that MCC appointed about a year ago, and their role is to make sure that everyone at MCC has got a point of contact to find out what's going on in that piece of geography, but also making sure they can join up those services. So early intervention services, youth services, diversionary services. And that combined with the ACES work means we've got 2 more workers on the ground effectively who can actually. Interesting thing what Alan was sort of saying, I think he was trying not to say, that those workers, when they were at the fund days, and here's some of the people who we find it difficult to engage with, they're here at the fund day, so now I'm going to go and grab them, and I'm going to take them up there, which is where they need to be, and those people need to talk to them. And the cops are saying the same thing, they're so-and-so, they're so-and-so, we run a mile from us normally, but they're here, and their kids are going to sit in a police car, in the front, not the back. And let's hope we can keep up that way. And those are the target families, and because we do that in a very, very soft way as well as in a hard way, I think we break down those barriers. The Young Citizens Day, no matter what else happens on the actual circuit with kids going around the different workshops, the main thing is they're with uniforms on, and the police aren't other. The police are working to the peer principles of being citizens who do what any citizens should do, but in uniform, and getting that.
Will you excuse me for 2 minutes?
So, painted quite a vivid picture of the benefits of having that very local presence to call on. I'm not going to ask you to hypothesise, but is that something that you'd be keen to see continued even when we move to the unit?
Very much so, very much so. I mean, it's all part of part and parcel with things like good neighbours, sports awards and that whole sense of community, and preserving that as we move towards the unitary will be important, very, very important. There is, at the moment an agreement that says that the sort of local knowledge is to stay. The police are reorganising at the moment. We've been consulted on the plans, I've seen the new structure charts, and basically the police will be reorganising into two areas which will map the two unitaries. But they will still have, even though it will be the West Northamptonshire team, they will still have a neighbourhood policing team for Daventry District, a neighbourhood policing team for South Wales, and 3 neighbourhood policing teams in Northampton. So they will still have that. One thing a couple of people have said is, as far as most other people are concerned, the only people who are changing is us. The rest of the parties, the health is staying the same, and schools are staying the same, and the housing association is staying the same, and the police are staying the same. Fire and rescue is staying the same. Duration, no, they're merging back together again. So we will change, and to us it's a massive thing. Other people we know don't really understand what's going on. If we can make that continue so they don't realise it's even happening and it stays seamless, that'd be very well. So because we've engaged an awful lot of partners, those partners will still be here with us to change. I'll take a bit of comfort.
Any further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, rolling work programme as at 24th of September. So my project on the voluntary services support has stalled a bit of late, to be perfectly honest. I've contacted around a dozen different voluntary organisations to try and get their feedback on their views of how we can best, how a unitary authority could best engage with them to make sure that they're fully represented and their needs fully accounted for as we go towards unitary. I have had some responses to date. I haven't had a chance to fully collate those. I'm hoping to be able to do so over the next couple of weeks, but I've got some people to follow up with and some further follow-up questions just to get clarifications about really what precisely they want to see from the unitary authority, so that we can have an effective voluntary sector working hand in hand with the unitary council. One thing that has come out loud and clear is the fact that the voluntary sector to date seems to view itself as having an absolutely crucial role in working with local authorities, and particularly the unitary authority, because they appreciate the fact that county council at the moment and the authority that is set to be set up in its stead will work with severe financial restraints, and that has a knock-on effect on the need for voluntary services very often. At the county council just recently there's been a revelation that certain voluntary organisations are to be defunded because of a change in regulations regarding how public health money can be used and allocated. Seeing the voluntary sector across the county being affected by local authority funding and public spending restraints as a whole. So that's kind of where I'm up to with it. I really do hope to have a conclusion on that ASAP, and I'll have something in writing for the next meeting.
Thank you. I think it's so important. There's support channels in place. Obviously the voluntary programs have got to be the right ones. Just because you're a voluntary program doesn't mean you may not mesh with everything else, but I think everyone has to look at it as the way forward. As us being enablers, being here to enable them to do the really, really good work that they do.
Very often it's the voluntary services who actually enable us as councils to do the work that we need to do, because they're very good at advising people on how to get help that they very often need. So, Councillor Robertson, got your assignment on the post.
Indeed. Well, it says here that I'm giving you a verbal update. In fact, this is the report. So you might be pleased to see. I'll pass it to you because I've already passed a copy. Excuse me, a copy to our illustrious clerk over there, and I'll give you a electronic version of it tomorrow by email if I can. Because I'm still unsure, although we had a discussion about this, I'm still unsure as to what the protocol is vis-à-vis publishing the report. I've left it to you. Parking on words, because I think it's got to go to the senior management team first.
Yes,
and
senior management team will come back to us with feedback and any factual corrections that might need to be made.
So this is by way of a first draft report, and I have no intention of reading it because it's designed to be read, and it's fairly lengthy as well, so and could be expanded on considerably. I'd like to thank a couple of councillors, namely Councillor Mike Wheeler over there for helping me with this, and also Councillor Joe Fielder, who is the portfolio holder for that particular sector. It does not cover what may happen to this service when we become a unitary authority, because I guess, and it isn't just purely that will be dependent on contractual arrangements between all three or four. How many are there?
Three councils going into West
you may know more than I do.
The three collection authorities, the three district councils, or the two districts in the borough are collection authorities, the counties is the waste disposal authority, but existing contractual arrangements will carry forward.
Whatever they are.
Yes, and there would look to be some alignment.
So one day there may be some alignment. Just can't say when.
Actually, it's interesting to note that I think all three collection authorities have recently entered into new arrangements.
Yes, right.
New contracts at Northampton Borough Council and South Northampton, our new joint venture with Norse. So it may be some time before we get to a joint collection regime.
Anyway, that's not covered, but most of the things are, and there are an awful lot of questions unanswered there, but it's just a pointer, basically, for the senior management team to take action, should they so desire. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about it, really.
I think the usual format of reports from this committee is that we'll make recommendations to carry forward to the strategy group. So my suggestion would be that once SMT come back to us with feedback, then maybe we can jointly discuss potential recommendations to come to our next meeting. Of Scrutiny.
I'll exit off the list as quickly as possible.
Can I just clarify something?
Yes.
I may be wrong here. I thought that what we did was we brought the report to this committee, and then.
Well, I have.
No, I'm not saying you haven't, but as an official, as an official agenda item, as a final, and then submit the final draft out here. Is that not what we did?
That's still
the normal course of events is that someone would submit the report to SMT and myself for final review, and then subject to the feedback of SMT and any alterations the task panel leader wishes to make, it then goes onto the agenda for SNI to discuss the recommendations.
If I can just add to that, Chairman, from SMT's point of view, we'd just be looking at factual issues. So if there's something factually incorrect, we make you aware of that before you come back to SNI and form your recommendations.
I'm sure it does mention something in there about the telephone system at the time. I seem to recall we had dreadful problems with being able to report anything when it was first launched, because nobody was available to answer it. Well, we couldn't cope with the
we had a sad coincidence that our telephone system was changing the same week the waste system was.
Well, there you go. I didn't mention that because I didn't know that.
Right,
that's fine. So we'll wait for SMT to feedback, and we can have a chat about any potential next steps.
Yeah, sorry, through you, Chairman, if you can let us have an electronic copy for sharing.
I'll certainly do that.
Yeah.
I'll send that to you, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll deal with it from there. So next up, Councillor Ritchie very kindly provided an interim report on his climate emergency task panel. We've all had the chance to read through it. Looks like actually an awful lot of work's been done thus far, and there's quite a lot scheduled for the coming weeks, which is pretty impressive. So even in his absence, I'd like to thank Councillor Ritchie for everything he's done, and also the other councillors involved, Councillors Frost and Harris. Councillor Harris is a very new councillor who's clearly been involved and doing work on this project. Before we come to the recommendation, does anyone have any comments on the report itself?
No, not this point.
I mean, we've got a recommendation then on the report that, well, a proposed recommendation that DDC, having noted the seriousness of climate change and need for urgent action to address it, declares a climate emergency. We'll recall the May Council meeting where a climate emergency was alluded to in the motion, but the opposition motion did explicitly call for a declaration, if I remember rightly. The motion was then tinkered with and we brought it back to scrutiny. Clearly Councillor Ritchie and his colleagues on the task panel have seen fit to try and get that recommendation in to effectively bring us into line with events at certainly the Borough Council and the County Council, where those authorities have declared a climate emergency in line with national government and many others. So, committee members have any thoughts on the recommendation?
I don't assess at this point. I mean, I think it's interim anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
At this point, I think you really have to wait until we get that. I mean, I know Council Ritchie is determined to get it, but at the end of the day, I personally don't have anything against it. I just think it just has to be, for me, it has to be real. It's not just words. I'm sure there'll be some work in there that actually put some on there. And if there's all meat on the bones on that with things to actually do, then I have no qualms about the terminology and doing it. That's not politicising it at all, but I'm just always loath to say something that is just a theme without anything
in that case then, I mean, we have a proposal in absentia to pass on this recommendation to strategy. Should just take a vote then.
Well, I think, Chairman, sorry, just to help perhaps, if the committee's not comfortable with making that recommendation at the moment, and maybe you're looking for more evidence that will come from the task panel, it may be appropriate just to note the content of the report at this stage without actually making a recommendation.
I mean, certainly I think I'd agree with you, Councillor Leslie, that declaring a climate emergency in and of itself does nothing. It's about the action you take as a result. And
I've been sceptical for a long time about this.
I don't want to make recommendations on the basis of the report.
and actually, personally, I think that recommendation would carry more weight if it comes with other recommendations to carry out tangible action.
They were up to their aspirations. This is an aspiration of theirs, perhaps.
Perhaps.
I think, Chairman, I think it was you who actually circulated a report. There was a piece of work that had been done on this, and it sort of came to the point, well, so you've declared a climate emergency, what next?
Yeah.
And I think that's really ought to come as a package, I would suggest.
And I was just saying, and I think as scrutiny improvement, that is sort of the nub of what this committee is about, not just...
Absolutely. This is almost a political declaration, and we're not here to make political statements, we're here to recommend courses of action.
Well, that's all this is, isn't it? Political statement.
Yeah. So I think I would propose, am I allowed to propose as chair?
Yeah, I think if the consensus of the committee, if you wanted to note the progress then I think that probably would cover.
I propose that we note the progress, but would look at making recommendations at the end of the reporting process. Does that suffice?
Yeah, again, Mr. Chairman, I think that would. I mean, I think in terms of a resolution of the committee to note the progress and captured in the minutes, it's about seeking recommendations to come with the final report.
Yeah, we're all in agreement.
I agree.
Agreed. Thank you. Okay, so next up, Councillor Howard providing a verbal update on the youth democracy assignment. Just say before you kick in, Councillor Howard and I have had several discussions on this. This was, of course, originally former Councillor Vance's pet project. I think he did quite a lot of work on it before his resignation, but obviously that departure's provided, thrown up some complications. So hand over to you.
Yeah, so I am looking now for another panelist to help me with this, but there has been a fair bit of work done to kind of answer the questions that we've got in this open document already. We're still setting out what we think would be, I say we now, I at the moment, am looking at what we were looking to put forward as recommendations regarding how to establish or recommend how to establish a youth council for the West. And it's also how far do we go with getting people involved. I've already listed in my findings already around 20 schools in the West, including colleges and a UTC, that we can get involved, but it also means maybe youth clubs, such as like the cadets. Anyone that's any youth club, I think we should involve everybody. And we're looking at even the ones that are like the vulnerable, to give them a voice and a chance to air their views on what is important to them. I mean, who knows better what the youth want than the youth? So at the moment, this is I have kind of written some bits down, but I'm working towards it. I'm going to look for some more panellists if anyone's got anyone in mind of who I could suggest. It was also trying to work out what other councillors are on doing what other tasks. And then after this, I have outstanding would be to sit down. This is my next step with interviews with Councillor Anne Hills and Chris Miller, and to continue with Kevin working on this. So if anyone's got any ideas, I would appreciate that.
As unfortunately, Amy, you're the closest thing to youth we've got.
I mean, I don't know if there's a win of, look at the youth democracy, official youth democracy wings of the major parties, whether there's what Labour call their youth wing, I think it's Labour students and Young Conservatives, etc., whether you're able to get in touch with them, or is it are you looking more at non-party political and just
Both.
more engaged? I mean, I think certainly there's quite a significant Young Conservatives group in Northampton. I don't think you have to necessarily restrict yourself to Township District if you're looking at youth democracy per se. So, and then I would suggest maybe talking to, I'll pass you some names of maybe people at county council, well, you will know them. So there was certainly some county councillors who were very involved within their own political parties who will be able to point you in that direction, I think. So I'm sure they'll be happy to help on that front.
I think, with what you've outlined with the people you're going to, that's more. You've got to talk to active youngsters, not active young people. So to get anything out of it, trying to talk to inactive young people is probably a lost cause and beyond the scope of what you can do. So engaging with as many of those organisations as we can is the key to it. How you do that is another matter. You probably do need some help on that in going out, but I would suggest it within those organisations like youth clubs, it's probably attending and organising a little as part of their programme. Even though that may sound a little bit boring to them, Councillor Amy having to come along and talk about boring elections, but that is the gist of what we're trying to get to, isn't it? You see, I think that's a bit of a catch-22 in a way. But I think that's what you've got to do. Now, in all probability, you say you've got about 20 there, you probably get invites from 4 or 5, I would imagine. So that would fit in with your availability and their availability. And I would take every opportunity to try and pick those up with you can get on board to help. I mean, as far as help goes, I mean, it's got to be put out there to councillors again. We'll probably hear from you, Councillor Brown, as well as Chair, to sort of say, come on, get involved. You know, this is part of what we do as a council. You know, it is that involvement. I mean, I know everyone's got a busy time, but you know, there's certainly, if they could do 2 interviews for you, that would be all you need. It's the more the merrier, isn't it?
I was just going to ask for some clarification here and just exactly what youth democracy means. I'm confused. Does it mean people under 18? Does it mean people over 18, of 21, 25?
So it's representatives aged 13 to 19.
13 to 19, so we're just about covering adults.
So it's those that pretty much don't have a vote at the ballot, don't have a voice.
Or we're just getting there.
Yeah.
So is there a...
Well, I've got actually a pamphlet you can read on what, from the British Youth Council, on how to set up a youth council.
So do they set the parameters 13 to 19? And I'm just wondering why you'd include 18 to 19-year-olds who do have a vote and
that's what
you know, can be elected as councillors or whatever, whether it's there.
There's a lot of legal connotations here, are there not? Well, there may not seem to be, but there are. Some youths want to get interested in the political lifestyle we all live in, but a lot don't. And I can see where we're coming from here, because we're trying to encourage youth to start thinking about those sort of things. But the moment they sort of make a decision, and it's not what the adults want, they'll get slapped down, and they know that. So I find it a struggle to cope with the realities of life, and you know, this I'm sure is very fine words, but they've got to know passes for me.
My one question about the pamphlet that you've got there is, you know, this is the British Youth Council. They have a drum to beat and a mission that they're on. Is the task panel going to look at whether or not a youth council is necessary or desirable?
Either, it's necessary and or the importance of having one.
Okay.
I was just going to say, you can't prejudge what the outcome of this is. The outcome of your report might be.
No, I suppose not.
There is no appetite.
No, I didn't want to be obstructive.
No, you know. I'm just saying we should focus on it. There may be, decide that there is little or no appetite for a youth council because of the precise things that have been mentioned there, or because of apathy, or because of whatever. Personally, I also should say that I thought your idea was great. I mean, I think you should perhaps approach the Councillor Brown's going to give you some names of some people on, you can say outside of the fence if you see what I mean, but you know, approach Councillor Randall and actually we've got the Dimson as well, haven't we?
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's okay. So that's the 3 representative parties in our council. And if there's any others, if there's any other youth movements along those lines, that's probably the best starting point to see if there's an appetite for youth, because if there's not one there, there's not one anywhere.
Well, currently the borough do have a youth council, so I've yet to have a response from them on the success of it and what their intentions are moving forward as well.
This is just a personal curiosity, but I'd be interested to know when looking at the borough, which is obviously it's a very different profile in terms of demographic and quite a concentrated population from Daventry district, but we're interested to know exactly how many people wanted to be on the youth council compared to how many people are actually on the youth council. So, back in, talking 15 years ago, a bit more now, I think I was on a fledgling youth council in South Northamptonshire, being a champion, and there were, I think if you put yourself forward, you got on the youth council because there were very, very few volunteers, and it didn't last very long. We had one trip to the South Northampton's offices, so I think there's a big population in Northampton, all in quite a concentrated area, so transport logistics are less of a concern they would be here. I would, without wanting to preempt anything, I'd be concerned if there wasn't a significant demand in Northampton for participating in something like that.
I can do a comparison.
Yeah.
Perhaps just of the borough being within the west, in the comparison.
Yes.
Like the direct, that's that word, of the whole area.
I mean, as far as help goes, we all sit here on this and we all put our hands up to do this. I mean, I'd say that I'd like to get mine on a little bit more on the go first, and then maybe come back in. If you're still struggling, to come back in later and help out. I don't know if it's at the moment. Again,
We'll see what sort of momentum Councillor Brown can rally up for me, but then any extra help would be beneficial.
Yeah, and I think as members of this panel, if you don't get the help, you just have to plan on and do the bit that you can, and then even maybe ask for help just on the admin side and planning through responses and things like that. So,
have you liaised with our Member of Parliament?
Yes.
So obviously he's quite active in engaging with young people.
Yes, he is. I've engaged with him and his team as well today, actually.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Amy. Councillor Coates. On to engagement with minorities.
yeah, okay. I mean, first of all, is everyone happy with my sort of proposal format and so I need to have some sort of your view on dates, etc. from those as well. So we actually put that on. I mean, I just saying that I've started already. Obviously, you might say no, I don't want to do this, but I have had meetings with officers already. So thank you for pointing me in the right direction, which is a very useful meeting. They pointed me into further things. So I've already got semblance of information where to go. I don't see this as being particularly long. A lot of it, having spoken to them, there are legalities in this, and there are prescribed routes of action that this council has to take. So it's around the periphery of what we have to do and what we could do in addition to that, and things that we can't do. So I would say I'd like to try and get completed by the meeting after next, if everyone thinks that's
Do you think that's realistic?
I genuinely do. I'm not going to ask for anyone else to come on board, but I think it's primarily digging through sort of online information, best practice from other places, that sort of thing. I think I can put something in place to actually have that on board, particularly with the information that the officers have already given me. So that's my
What's that in the
It'll be January, will it?
Yeah, November and then January.
Yes.
So can I just ask, just for a bit of clarification from a management point of view as to what the focus of the task panel is, and certainly the discussion that was held at this meeting last time, and I don't believe you were, suggestion was it was around electoral registration, elections, and subsequently I suggested you meet with the officers involved in that. But I'm just wondering if it's more wider about consultation.
It is literally about engagement. It's like the electoral register. How do we get people on? How are we ensuring we have got everyone on the electoral register? Are we sure that we are not, the things that we're doing are encompassing all of those minority groups? You know, that will be language. If, for instance, you know, if the leaflet goes out in English to a Polish family who don't speak English, they're never likely to engage in the local electoral process. And I know they can only vote in the local elections and not the national elections. But it's that sort of thing. Are we actually putting the information out in the right spheres? That's how I see it.
Sorry, if I can just come back on that again. So it is around that sort of subject matter, as opposed to more generally how the council consults on policy, or...
Yeah, it's actually getting people to involved with the electoral process.
Right.
No,
okay.
there may be sort of offshoots on that, like i.e. policy is sort of part of the engagement in your vote. Like if you think it's important to you, then you will do it. So, you know, how the council actually portrays itself out there, but it's not to spread it like right out to the corners. But I may touch it the way that I see it on the discussion process, and the way that information is disseminated. I think that sort of comes into it.
Yes.
Okay.
I think on that basis, I just clarified that I suggested including the Partnership and Policy Officer as an interviewee, and he deals more with, I mean, it is about engagement, it's more to do with consultation, but it might still be worth a discussion with him, but he doesn't generally get involved in electoral registration or...
So who's that?
Alan Burns it's on the bottom of the form.
So yeah, obviously those who speak to them, so it's a little bit of a snowball effect on the speak to, but just leaning those bits,
Yeah, I just would like some clarification. It's been mentioned to me, I'll put it that way, that it's no longer a legal requirement to actually be on an electoral roll. Does anybody know whether that's true or not?
There is a legal requirement.
There is a legal requirement to be on it, if you're an adult, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they state that in that letter that's gone out to...
Well, they said you have to reply to the letter, but I didn't see anywhere where it said you've got to be on an electoral roll.
I think it does.
Does it?
I think it does.
Interesting, I've just had one of those.
I think it does.
I think it states, something on it.
We do go to consider.
So whoever told me that was wrong.
Well, there's a difference between it being a legal requirement and it being actually actively enforced, isn't there?
Well, I suppose.
Is there a fine?
Potentially there is, but I think, as Councillor Wesley alludes to, the enforcement of it is
So I
something.
think having that in writing on there sometimes is good enough for some people.
I think that's the idea. It also gives officers a chance to sort of say this is a legal requirement, isn't it?
It's illegal to speak, but people still do so.
No, that you're there. But, no, I mean, I think it's a very valid area of investigation. I think that being a rural district, or largely rural district, we sometimes overlook the fact that there are minority communities with distinct needs from the majority of the populations.
Yeah, I mean, and just from a personal point of view, it actually hit home with a relative of mine and a sort of a new relationship into minority communities in the town, and it was actually quite interesting to sit there and chat to them about it as well. So that would be part of it.
Interesting.
Sorry, does it include people that, like, new people that move into the area? What we do to help them and when people turn 18?
It's not so much about when they turn 18, or whether it is about them getting on the people that are available to get on the electoral roll, and how we actually do that within the minority groups. It's not necessarily going down to the youth side and saying how do we get young people to do it. That's not included unless you actually want to add that into the process. But I was sort of thinking that may touch on the youth council work. But I mean, if the committee want to expand that into call young people a minority, then I crossover.
I don't know personally what already has been done. To be
No,
honest with you,
that's
so
part of the
Yeah.
part of the profile of this is to actually explain to everyone to go through what we actually do. So we'll know, because personally I didn't. If so you go out campaigning and try and get people to vote for you, and you're not quite sure how they're actually encouraged to be in a position to vote for you by being on the electoral roll.
yeah, I know it from a political aspect and how we try to do it, but I don't know from the council side of it. So that
Yeah, and it's not to be politicised. It's not really how parties. It's not how parties do it. It's about how this council does it in an official manner, not a recruitment process into the party machine. Which I think will be wrong.
So you're going to leave that to the agents, etc. So, sorry. That's fine.
Just realised what I said.
So, anything further on that one? Okay, so on to implementation activity.
Mr. Chairman, so we're looking at the implementation plans from page 19 in the papers. It's the first one, which is spookily about assignment 19. I'm sure how we manage that, but the one outstanding action on there is action 5, which is around the progress of Leisure Centre East, and we heard from Councillor Hills earlier that things are moving with that, and the updated comment there reflects that, but we still some distance to go on that one. Then moving on to assignment 20, one action outstanding on that in respect of the local plan, and again that's not due until February 2020, so there's no change from last time there. Then on to page 25, assignment 21. There has been some progress on this. Action 1 is now complete, as is action 2. So that's updated since last time, and that in entirety implementation plan is complete. So that will now go on to the programme for a review in 12 months' time. Page 27 is the assignment 28. There is no change. There's still one action outstanding, although that is due this month.
I can give an update on that actually. Simon Bowers has, firstly issued a draft letter to Councillor Miller and myself. Councillor Miller and I went back to Simon Bowers with a couple of requested amendments. So I think Simon's just double checking that that's legally admissible and ticks all the boxes from the council's perspective, but certainly Simon has actioned his part of things in a timely manner, and Councillor Miller and I have liaised with him, so we're just waiting for that to be issued.
Okay, well that's fine. Thanks for that update. That's updated me.
Just remind me, that's the
letter of apology.
about the sale of the.
Yes, of the sale of houses.
So we should be reporting that complete next time. Okay, that's it in terms of the implementation plans on the agenda.
Then 1 year post-implementation activity reviews. So 10, role and strategy. This was you, yeah. I think it was.
So yeah, this is the yearly post-implementation review. So I've had some additional comments from Simon Bowers via Tony as I just walked through. Was this finished you, Tony?
No, it's just for you.
Yeah. Okay. It's probably best if I try and read these out. So you've all got that in front of you, haven't you? So in essence, I think you tasked me to do this when I was absent from this meeting.
Yes.
Last time, so thank you very much.
Good stuff.
Tony very kindly helped me in which way I was actually looking at it, and I went through the reports that were actually presented to this committee and others to ascertain its effectiveness. Tony very kindly put that into this report. I've got someone, I'm not sure who it was.
I think it was a joint effort. I think Catherine made it.
Thank you very much.
Really start.
Into a proper format for me. So I probably would have got it in the boxes anyway. So any questions on that? But I'll just go through what Simon Bowers said 24th of September. Had confirmation that Council did not engage with the construction and development manager of the strategic economic development or the strategic economic development officer, or indeed myself, prior to issuing this report with the above title. As such, he would not have been aware of the full scope of the activity undertaken, which I do take on board. I actually thought the reports should actually give the full response on that. That's what's presented to council. That's what's there. So that's why I didn't do that. I expect everything to be in the reports, maybe not in every minutiae, but the overall result. So I know I didn't speak. I actually didn't speak to anyone else. I actually went through it quite a bit. So in relation to item 1, it should be noted that a requirement was for a trial, which acknowledged the potential for the initiative not to succeed. There was a question about whether the district was the right scale for this type of activity. Despite that, the comment actually records substantial activity, and the report correctly concludes that the action was implemented. As it happens, the Daventry District Tourism Forum continues to be held biannually at different tourist venues within the district. So, I think that basically says what it happens. I mean, there's nothing in the reports though that actually gives a great deal of tangible evidence of anything really successful coming out of it. Having a meeting isn't an overall success. It's like what has actually happened. Now, if that is the case, that there are fundamental growth areas in tourism, then I am aware of them, and obviously will be stand corrected in sort of on reporting effectiveness. I'm not being difficult here, but my job here is as an estimate. I think that if there were effective, if there was effective progress from that, I think it would be shouted loud and long to the council that it had actually happened. So that's my view on that.
Sorry, Chair, if I can just come in on that, I think the point that Simon's making is that the Tourism Forum was set up and continues to meet. I take your point about its effectiveness, but I think we can only do so much in terms of
I mean, I go, driving economic growth in rural areas was the purpose of the piece of work, and I'm not sure it has. Well, I can't see any evidence of it. Item 2, the report rightly acknowledges the focus of the council resolution was wider than pure rural issues. This is logical, since people do not restrict their employment choices to rural or urban locations. In fact, the Catesby project cited illustrates a particular valuable high-skill project in a rural area of the district, which, like I said, Catesby proceeds only because of the council's involvement. Without it, the Aero Research Facility basically wouldn't actually happen. Now, I actually do say that the Catesby effort is actually a really, really important aspect of that. But what I was saying was that yes, this was about the rural economy and not about the town economy, and a lot of the words in the reporting do talk about the town of Daventry. And yes, people don't restrict themselves to town or rural, but the piece of work was about the rural, not about the town. So it's what actually happens in rural areas and not what happens in Royal Oak Industrial Estate in Daventry. That's where I'm coming from. The report rightly acknowledges the study of needs for business premises, which underpins the proposed allocation of land for this purpose southeast of Daventry, or the urban rural fringe. The study considered the entire district and its objective conclusions were the new employment space was required at Daventry. The council cannot be faulted for following the evidence. No, we can't be faulted for following the evidence, but that again is mostly about employment in Daventry. Thus it's suggested the status of this item should be yes, implemented. So I don't know. I mean, I'll leave that to the committee to decide as well. I'm quite happy for that to be open. On item 3, grants awarded were Brixton £6,000, Naseby £3,250, Morgan £4,245, and Lebanon £10,000. The council also carried out other activities to benefit the rural economy, such as reporting the leader programme from North and West Northamptonshire. Under the council supports a leader application for funding for a new catering facility at the Rutland Kart Circuit. I mean, I'll leave it to the committee to decide what they think of my view on where we are on this implementation plan. I think, from my view, I think it defocused is probably my overall conclusion. It defocused and got to be a bit lost. I'm really not saying the council hasn't done anything, but I think we're trying to shoehorn things that the council has done into a report from the SNI committee, and I don't think we've actually focused on it. And I think my comments, I'd like to stick by my comments, but I will be telling you otherwise.
To be honest, I think the comments are pretty fair. I completely agree that we're trying to shoehorn urban initiatives into rural objectives. And, yes, you can create an argument that the urban area serves the wider rural community, but it's not really about the development in Daventry. Would normally do very little to certain residents of Naseby or Moulton.
I think the point is, I think if we'd have said
Before my time.
Yeah, I think if we'd have said driving economic activity in Daventry district, then it's all fair enough. But it was focused on the rural community, unfortunately, and it may be a difficult thing. Sometimes, in a way, I prefer to admit certain amount of defeat on that and sort of say we are where we are, because otherwise nothing else ever happens. If we say that we've done it when we haven't, that's not what we're about.
We're not here to whitewash. We're here to scrutinise.
I think I don't want to say that we've. I think the Cape Tunnel is a shining example of good work. I really, really do. You cannot deny that that's not a shining example of good work. But that's not helping people over in the rural hinterland towards the Leicestershire.
No, Derf is.
Sorry?
Derf is. I was just thinking out loud, really. My constituent ward consists of a great deal of development at the moment, and I think that Barby would probably look to Rugby for their support, and I think that Crick is well satisfied because it's got an enormous industrial development going on there, and is likely to have for the next 20 years. So they won't look to Daventry for support, particularly.
How much of that is simply private sector development and how much is actually a council initiative?
Oh, it's all private sector development.
Yeah,
The question is whether we're actually taking any initiative on these things. It's all
I mean,
right.
we facilitate, you know, as a council, yeah, we do facilitate DERF as a planning authority, and it's, you know, like, sort of understanding what's
Sort of thing, yeah, but we didn't
where we
even
are.
give a plan for which
You
the
know, we
government
have
did.
not, you know, we haven't put DERF forward as a, we haven't put DERF forward as an initiative to expand the rural
Absolutely
economy.
not. We're by default the planning authority. So what would your proposal be on each?
Well, I mean, I've said, as far as I'm concerned, I've actually agreed, this report says implemented, 1 and 3, it says, you know, we have done something, but I do think on 2, no, we haven't. You know, I don't, you know, unless we do want to say that the Catesby Tunnel does it for us.
For the whole lot.
Not,
Yeah, well, I get your point exactly. It's
you know, I was a
specific to the
little
area.
bit dubious about 3, but, you know, there was, I think it was, for me, if when I was reading, when I sort of going through it, I always thought that was a massive ask, and I do think that, you know, grants have been given. You know, I'm not sure that there's been a massive amount of feedback on the effectiveness of it, but grants have been given, and the focus was given to it. I always think it was a massive ask to actually get any business to run out on the village hall.
I mean, I think, speaking as a ward councillor in Weedon, the council has actually had a fair amount of involvement in encouraging the use of the depot, the ward ordnance depot in Weedon as a business hub, which works very well actually. So I'd agree with your conclusions on each. I think you can, Catesby is a shining example of what we can do well, but it's an isolated example. So
I mean, just for instance, I mean, there wasn't a great deal in the communication to council about the Wigan depot, because maybe there are other things to shout about, and me interviewing officers, I don't think it should have to go into the officers. I think it should be presented to us what's actually being done and the effectiveness of it, not to have to go and dig and find it. And I think that's the issue. It's not there in the reports, then it's not there. Or it's deemed not to be, it's deemed not to be it. So, I mean, I'll stand by what I've written, but I'm quite, as I said, I won't be offended, upset or anything if I want to be shot down. Maybe that's what we're here for. And take everything on the chin. That's what I'm doing.
Tony, may I just ask, is there any, what's the consequence of us deciding that something hasn't been implemented? Is there anything?
There isn't in just in the sense of recognising it hasn't been implemented. I suppose the challenge is do you then feel there's a further piece of work around that?
Yeah.
One of the things, it's the first post-implementation review we've had at the committee for some time, actually. And certainly previously when we've had issues with them, what we've been keen to do, both the committee and management, is not continue to go around the circle in terms of the same task panel. But if it was felt worthy of some further work by the committee, then a new, more focused task panel could be set up on that particular piece of work. But that's for committee to determine whether they want to do that or not. It's for committee, if committee are comfortable to note it, and
I mean, for me to try and be a bit more positive, maybe a bit more positive. I mean, if the council continues to explore initiatives that attract high-skilled employment, I mean, it's just like, is there anything in the pipeline along those lines that could be reported back through?
Are we able to pass this paper onto strategy group with a recommendation that the portfolio holder for economy, regeneration, whatever they are, further explores initiatives to attract high skilled employment to rural areas?
I think you could minute that as opposed to a recommendation that, and then probably it's a case then of drawing the portfolio holder's attention to that.
So if I were, I mean, in that case then, if I could kindly ask Catherine to note that I'll be writing to Councillor James to highlight what the committee feels is a lack of action on this point, and to actually maybe write back to me with any other areas that he feels can be used as examples of success on this front. So that lead to
And ideas.
Yeah, and ideas.
Okay, thank you.
I think, Chairman, if I may, I mean, just another way of raising the profile, albeit it will take some time to get there, is there's an annual report of the committee, and I believe Catherine's spoken to you about that. This would actually not fall in the time period of the report we're looking for now, but in terms of issues arising through task panel work, it could be something that captured in the next report, and it could be, when that report's presented to council, could be raised as a challenge there as well. But I acknowledge that's going to take some time before it gets there.
Yes, fair point. So we're all happy with the conclusions that Councillor Wilson has given. Agreed. Finally, portfolio holder attendance at S&I committee. Catherine, what's the date of our next meeting?
17th of November.
I may put forward a suggestion, public knowledge. Now, obviously, by that stage, when's our next full council meeting?
Shall councils meets on the 10th of October.
So by that stage, we'll have the new leader of the council replacing council.
Yes, I believe so. I think it was the intention that the new leader took up the role on the 1st of November. I think that was the outgoing leaders.
Yeah. So new leader.
Yet.
No, we have not yet. No. So it's just leader of the council. I would suggest, so that they can outline their priorities.
Yeah.
Whoever that may be.
That's possible. We agree with that. Good suggestion.
No urgent